Hello again and welcome back to Fragrance University. My name is Caitlin, and in this Fragrance 101 course video, we'll be explaining how fragrances are categorized. Understanding which families certain scents are in will help you in determining which fragrance oils to include in your products. The classification of fragrances has existed as long as the fragrance industry has. These classifications have evolved over time, and new fragrance categories have been added to the massive library of scents in the world. The goal of classifying fragrances into families is to help users find fragrances they like and build from there using the relationship each fragrance has with each other. One should be able to use the fragrance categories to build a solid understanding of how each scent relates to each other. There are many individual categories that fragrances can be classified in, and these categories will vary source to source. Michael Edwards, a leading member of the perfume industry, created a comprehensive wheel of fragrances in 1992. He stated that he became intrigued by the problem people have in finding a fragrance that will suit them and the lack of advice. Fragrance advisors tend to push the fragrances they personally like. It's quite natural. Our sense of smell is emotional, not logical. We are confident about the fragrances we like. That's why we talk about them, and we tend to push them. Problem is, what I like will probably not be what you like. And so finding a new fragrance so often ended up being a frustrating experience. That is what prompted the idea of a fragrance guide. Since then, fragrance wheels have become a popular method used to organize fragrance categories. The fragrance wheel lays out each category in a circle, with respects to each category's relation to one another, much like the color wheel that we're all familiar with. The fragrance categories next to each other on the wheel share similar characteristics, so it can be used to easily determine one scent's relation to each other. Since the fragrance wheel's inception, countless versions have been made with varying levels of specificity. Regardless, there are 4 generally accepted families that all fragrances can be divided into, with multiple subcategories between them. These 4 families are floral, amber, wood, and fresh. Let's break each of these down in some of the common subcategories. Floral fragrances include any scents derived naturally or synthetically from flowers: rose, gardenia, lily, cherry blossom, you name it. Because of the huge variety of flowers in the world, this category is incredibly broad. Each floral presents its own top, middle, or bottom notes unique to themselves, which makes it easy to use them in a wide variety of applications. This category is commonly divided into 2 subcategories of fresh florals and soft florals. Fresh floral fragrances evoke the smell of freshly cut or picked flowers. They are bright and cheerful. Soft florals, on the other hand, include florals with sparkling and powdery elements derived from chemicals with these characteristics. These fragrances are classic and romantic. The next category of fragrances, amber, is composed of rich and/or spicy scents. The fragrances in this category are derived from resins, spices, and other materials commonly found across the continent of Asia. Amber fragrances are deeply rooted in history, as many of the first perfumes in the world were made up of these components that make up this category. They are often defined as sensual or warm. Frankincense, dragon's blood, and myrrh are all resinous fragrances in this family that you may be familiar with. Additionally, spice scents such as anise and cardamom are popular fragrances that belong to this amber family. This category transitions nicely into the next, as many fragrances such as sandalwood and patchouli fall between the two. The next category is wood fragrances. The fragrances in this family are warm, dry, and earthy. They can invoke reminders of densely wooded forests, but also dry and leathery vetiver. As with all fragrance families, there are many subcategories that distinguish woody fragrances from one another. Some notable subcategories include dry, mossy, and aromatic woods, each of them featuring unique top, middle, and bottom notes that set them apart despite all being wood or earth-based. Dry woods contain cedar and pine fragrances, whereas mossy wood represents the greener side of fragrances, with notes of fern and even citruses. These fragrances are most often considered more masculine, but there's no limit to how you can use them in your fragrance products. The final general fragrance category is fresh fragrances. The fragrances in this category bridge the gap between woods and florals, and they all share the same notable fresh characteristics. It features any fragrance that is crisp and clean, which can include citruses, oceanics, and greens. The citruses in this category can be sweet or bitter, containing lemon, orange, and even lime fragrances. Aquatic fragrances are another subcategory within this family that contains fragrances reminiscent of ozone, fresh rain, and the beach. Green fragrances, as we mentioned a moment ago, include leaves, freshly cut grass, and clean-smelling plants that are not considered woody. Of course, these are just some of the 4 widely accepted categories that fragrances can be put into. There are many other families that they can be organized in that fit on the wheel, such as fruity scents. These commonly reside between fresh and floral fragrances with their light and sweet notes. Gourmand, otherwise known as food-like fragrances, include candy or dessert scents that can be sweet or milky like buttercream. This category is placed in different sections depending on the particular fragrance wheel being used, but often share notes with fresh or amber fragrances. This course video only briefly touched on the thousands of fragrances at your disposal. We've provided a fragrance wheel for your use as reference when working with your own fragrance products. So check it out in the download section of this course. That's all for this Fragrance 101 course. We hope you found it helpful. My name is Caitlin, and thank you for watching. Bye.